So coming off of the previous chapter, we saw Sukuna transferring himself from Yuji to Megumi, taking him over in the process. And he also like punched a hole through Yuji and sent him to like another building. And then at the end of the chapter, his head grew like 3 times its size and he was about to like eat Angel. And coming into this chapter, we see that he's only like biting her arm off and then pushing her off the building. So this is really interesting because first of all, I expected him to like, I don't know, eat her whole or something, or at least bite her head off, or at least confirm that she's going to be killed at least. But all he's content with is just taking off her arm. But anyway, Yuji witnesses this happening because Yuji's fine. Because, like, you know, like I said before, he got punched through the stomach in the previous chapter. Like, the biggest wound that he's taken in the series, pretty much, aside from what Sukuna did in season 1. But he's fine. Like, he doesn't even have a wound anymore. It's like he underwent reverse curse technique or something. I mean, I guess he had to, right? That's the only explanation for this. So he somehow underwent subconscious reverse curse technique. And it could be something that Kenjaku put into play here. Maybe there's some kind of contingency that activates once Sukuna separates from Yuji. Because Yuji is also seemingly at the peak of his power in this chapter. Like, much stronger than what he usually is. Even Sukuna like mentions it because we see Yuji like bust off this building here and he winds up like clashing with Sukuna here. When they separate, Sukuna's like, you know, what's that strength? And they fight a little more and Sukuna's like, you know, I get it. The boy is from that time. Kenjaku does the grossest things. So like that time is ambiguous. It really could mean anything. I mean, we can assume it means like that time, like around the time when Yuji was born or conceived or whatever. And it's like, how would Sukuna even be really aware of that time? I mean, I guess he's absorbing the memories of Megumi and Yuji, but also like Megumi technically shouldn't really be around at that time either, or at least self-aware. So I'm not really sure what exactly he means here, but it could have something to do with Kaori, who is Yuji's mother, who we also found out was a sorcerer and has like a gravity curse technique, which I think is going to come back into play later. Like Yuji might develop that as well. But as for Sukuna saying Kenjaku does the grossest things, of course this is referring to how Yuji was made. Like Kenjaku took over Kaori's body and then eloped with Yuji's father and then gave birth to Yuji. Like, that is pretty extreme, and I guess you know, it could be considered quote unquote gross, as Sukuna says here, but you know, just further showing how far Kenjaku goes for his plans and his ultimate goal here. But that's a whole story for another time. But also, as we speculated about before, Sukuna is definitely aware of what Kenjaku's doing. Like, a lot of these Hina or sorcerers were privy to some information coming into the Culling game, but if anyone knows the most besides Kenjaku himself, it's definitely Sukuna. Like, I can't wait till we get a flashback of them conspiring like 1,000 years ago to set all this up. But they have like a little verbal back and forth here, and Sukuna finally starts using his curse techniques, like something we haven't seen since Shibuya. And I think he's using Cleave here. It could be Dismantle. They're both kind of interchangeable at this point, but I assume he's using Cleave, which is like a super impressive curse technique. Like, we obviously don't get to see it that much, and comparing it to like the other curse techniques that we have seen, like, it's really powerful. Like, he's just standing there and Yuji is getting sliced up by this, and as he's coming to an end, Yuji's like, I almost forgot, these guys are and will always be curses. And that is also an ambiguous line. Like, curses means a lot in this series. Like, curse could simply just mean a sorcerer who is not affiliated with like Jujutsu High, you know, something like that. Or it could just straight up mean cursed spirit without you just saying spirit at the end. As for Sukuna, he's somewhere in between. You know, I think we've all been speculating for a while now that Sukuna is similar to Tengen, and that they're both evolving into more than a human and something like a curse, if not just straight up a curse. Also, Sukuna calls like Hana a human in the beginning of the chapter, or he just says humans, which is odd because Gojo said that Sukuna was a human. So I think, yeah, he probably has evolved into something more, as to where now he can just call other people humans. But coming to the end of the chapter, Sukuna really amps up his cleave on Yuji, and it's just like eviscerating him. But it seems to be going only skin deep. Like, he can't eviscerate Yuji the way that he did to the finger bearer Mahoraga. Yuji's just walking this down, just like getting cut up on the surface. And Sukuna realizes that his cursed energy output is low, and this is because Megumi is seemingly taking back control or fighting back more than he was able to. So he's limiting how much cursed energy energy Sukuna can use, meaning that he can't produce a cleave or dismantle strong enough to like cut beneath Yuji's skin. And then the chapter ends with Yuji just leveling Sukuna here in an awesome panel, which is a very long time coming for Yuji, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience. And yeah, that's where the chapter ends, and I'm super excited to see where this goes.